Welcome to Starlight Talks. This week, the guest is Ella London, and we'll be discussing how color affects our lives.
Yay! I can't. Do you think I'll guess which color?
Hi, Grammy. Thanks for joining us. And while people are joining in, don't be afraid to check out the website, OurTism.com, where I have my blog where I talk about living with autism. And we have all these great programs such as Life Map that I'm a part of, the social groups and the support groups. Tomorrow is the Adults on the Spectrum support group.
Fantastic.
I'll be there. Hi, Danny.
Hi, Danny.
Danny was the guest 2 weeks ago, so if you want to check that out, that's on the Facebook page, OurTism.
Yay! Oh, look at that. We're looking very yellow tonight.
Thank you, Danny.
Thank you. Love it.
So this week, the guest is Ella London, if you didn't hear about that, and we're going to be discussing how color affects our lives. So I thought I'd start by you introducing yourself a little bit.
Absolutely. My name is Ella London, and I met Chloe on Instagram, wasn't it? I think, or you messaged me on Facebook, one of those two. And so we've been having a lot of fun. I have been wearing yellow every day since 2012, and it's been a lot of fun. And I was featured on the New York Post earlier this year. And so I had a lot of fun getting to meet wonderful people like Chloe, and I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah. I do these talks every Wednesday at 7 o'clock. So come back next week if you guys are new viewers. We talked a little bit about the reasons why you choose to wear one color. And they were surprisingly very similar reasons, which I found really interesting. So I don't know if you want to go into why you choose to wear the one color.
Yes, I'd love to share my story. I never really had a favorite color. I always just kind of went along with whatever clothes my mum bought for me when I was younger, or whatever my friends' favorite colors were, because I didn't really have one. And then when my fiance and I were planning our wedding back in 2008, we decided it would be, we wanted to honor my dad, and we were trying to choose a wedding color because I didn't want pink or purple or any of those colors. And so my fiance, who's now my hubby, suggested that we use yellow to honor my dad because it was his favorite color. And it's such a happy color. So we literally did everything yellow in the wedding. It had yellow shoes and yellow flowers and everything. And then it kind of grew out of that. And I've kind of found that it's now become a legacy for my dad, to be, his legacy to continue spreading sunshine. And I love it because when I walk down the street, walking my little puppy Pearly, a lot of people will often say things like, "Oh wow, you're such a ray of sunshine," or you make me smile. So I think that's why I continue doing it all of these years. Yeah. I'd love to hear your story because you told me a little bit about it, but I'd love to hear more about your story.
So I started completely wearing yellow in high school, but I wore a lot of like green and a lot of other colors, and I realized like the days that I wore yellow, I felt more confident and comfortable, and so I was like, why am I wearing other colors? And I remember like this one spring, there were so much yellow clothes, and I didn't remember seeing yellow clothes, and it had always been my favorite color. And my mom and I got so excited, we bought all these clothes, and like slowly my wardrobe has just become covered in yellow. And for me, I've like realized over time more and more reasons why I do it, and it's I went through some really hard times when I was younger because of autism and because of different reasons, and I was really angry and I could get really depressed. And so I started focusing on just small things that would be a reason to smile. And if it was just like, oh, I wore yellow today, that was enough to get me through the day. And so it became an easy thing to just like point out all the yellow things, and that was enough to brighten my day. And so I kept doing that, and now I surround myself with yellow.
I think that's really special. I mean, if you don't mind me, kind of asking. So for you, you how when did you first like remember really liking yellow?
I think in like middle school, my room was pink because I shared it with my sister, and she moved out and I finally had my own room, and so we all decided to paint our rooms, and I wanted it yellow.
I love that.
And when it was yellow, and my room became like such a safe haven to me, and I really needed that space to go into my room and be by myself and to recharge and to recuperate from like long days at school. School was really difficult, and I didn't understand socially how to connect with people. And so I would go and hide in my room, and I would read my books and go on the computer and make friends with these fictional characters. And my room became like such a safe place to do that and to create and to use my imagination. Um, and Now I realize with the fatigue, the yellow gave me so much energy. And I looked a little bit into like color therapy, and yellow's one of the strongest colors that gives people like with depression are drawn to it because it has an energy to it that helps you. And I'm a very fatigued person, and so it helps me have more energy throughout the day. And then another thing I found out that was really surprising is that it also makes you hungry, which is why a lot of restaurants use the color yellow.
I hadn't really thought about that. I did not know that. Fun fact that I didn't know. Did you, as I was driving down south to come to see you, do you know that there's that yellow cafe?
Yeah,
place?
The yellow vase.
The yellow vase, that's it, yes. Or as I would say, vase. In England, we call it a vase, so the yellow vase. That's so cool.
Yeah, when I moved here, it was so cool that it's right down the street. And so I went there a bunch, and they have crepes, and I love French food. And so they're like fresh crepes, and it's so great, especially over the summer. It's like a nice place to go.
That's so cool. Have you ever been to France?
I have not.
No, well, I know I lived in England where I grew up. We would go on holiday to France because it was cheaper than going on holiday in England. And we always used to have, they'd make the crepes in these like street vendors. And then you just like get out of bed in the morning and go to a street vendor, and it was so cool. So cool to watch them. Hope you get to do that one day. It'll be fun. Yay. So, so I find the same thing as you because I went through a period of depression, and I think that's kind of partly where you kind of found my story as well. Because last year, at the end of 2016, I actually came across a Facebook article, and that's when it just kind of dawned on me that I was dealing with depression. And I think it hadn't even registered for me because I was like, how can someone who wears yellow or is supposedly is really happy person, how can they struggle with depression? And I read this article, and it just really spoke to me and made me realize that that was something that was really affecting me. So on New Year's Eve 2016 going into 2017, I decided to start an Instagram project where I took a picture of something in my life that was yellow, or me that was yellow, and posted it on Instagram for 365 days, and it was intense. That was intense. I was like, it was really good, but some days I was like, I don't want to do this, but I did it, and it was really great because it gave me that creative outlet, and it kind of gave me that kind of safe place every day that I knew was mine, that I could surround myself with yellow. That's really cool. I'm loving all these people. Oh, like this Grammy and Papa. Hello. Hi, Chloe.
Hi, Alex.
So cool. Oh, and look, we've got some people over here on Instagram too. Hi. It's like, is this the first time going with Instagram Live too? Or is
We
this
did it last week as well.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I love it.
Oh, funny story. Last week, one of my teachers was on, a special education therapist, and so he met me like as I was going through the yellow into my yellow days. I call it my Dalek days before because I was so angry.
Oh, no.
It wasn't so much sadness; it was way more anger. So I call it my Dalek days, and then my yellow days.
Oh, I love that. I really like.
And so he saw that transition, and so when he was asked who's on next week, and I said, this girl I met online, Ellen London, she wears yellow every day, and like as I was describing you, he's like, no, that's you. Who's the other person?
I love that because I know you're describing yourself. That's so cool. Yeah, it was funny when I had some people from Hong Kong came, and I think did you see the little Hong Kong video?
Yeah,
they did. Yeah. I actually, because they always they come and shoot for a day and they ask you all sorts of questions, and I actually mentioned you in there, but of course they always cut everything down to like 3 minutes long. But I was like, because people always ask me, are there other people that do this? And I'm like, yes, there are other people. I know it sounds, it's like, but I think yellow is such a. I think people find it. Do you find that people are a little shocked by it sometimes because it's such a bright color?
Yeah, and the first time I was asked was by this like young 12-year-old. I was like 17, and he asked me like why I wore yellow every day, and I was just like, I didn't have an answer because no one had ever asked me, and I was just like, because it makes me happy. And he was like, that's not a good enough reason, and he got so angry. And I was like, I don't know why you're so angry. He's like, I don't know either. But like, you're just not supposed to wear one color.
It's so funny. It does amaze me the responses that sometimes people have because they want there to be like a real reason behind it. And I think yes, I mean obviously I have my story of why it started, and you have the reason for why you started. But I think that it's like we just continue doing it, like you said, because it makes us happy. It gives us and it also makes other people happy. That's the other reason. I mean, I know that other person got angry, but I mean that's gonna happen. It never makes me laugh because I know you have to have another reason other than the fact that you love yellow.
And this is interesting that can be so upsetting to someone or so happy for someone, and I'm just like, I'm being me.
Yes, it's so true.
And like being part of the autism community, there's a lot of people in the autism community who will only wear one sort of clothes, one sort of shoes because it's comfortable the way it feels, because we have the heightened sense of touch or the heightened sense of smell or heightened sense of sight. There's like certain colors we're drawn to or certain styles for all different reasons. And like I've talked to so many parents who are like, how do I get my kid to stop wearing t-shirts and jeans? I'm like, why? They like it. Like go to the store and buy them 10 of the same pair.
Yes.
I wear yellow every day. Like there's nothing wrong with wearing the same outfit every day. I'm not the exact same outfit, like wash it. But have a bunch of them. But I think that whatever makes you more confident to walk out the door every day, like that's what you should wear. That's the reason you should be wearing what you wear.
I agree. I think we often will put ourselves in a box and try to either blend in, or we just try to like, I don't know, we try to seek it. I think humans are always trying to seek approval from other people, and I think once we get past that and we realize that we can be ourselves, and that actually ends up making the world a better place when we're true to ourselves, because we're not, we're showing the world who we are. And I think that's really special. And I really love that you are sharing your story about autism and your struggles with it, and how you are overcoming those struggles. Because I mean, I've only, obviously this is our first time meeting. We literally, with the traffic, I arrived like 2 minutes before we went live. So, but I can already tell, just sitting next to you for these few minutes, that you're just such a genuine, wonderful, caring person.
Thank you.
Seriously. And, so having, you share from your heart what you're going through in your life, and that you're not letting it stop you from doing things that you love to do. And I think that's really special.
Thank you. In your latest video, I saw you mentioned something about not considering yourself an artist. Oh, but like you create all the time. I don't know, like, I'm curious what you meant by that.
Yes, it was so funny because I do that when I make those, when I make my vlogs, which, thank you for watching it, by the way. And I literally just got back into it. It's like since April, I couldn't believe it when I went on YouTube. I was like, I couldn't believe it's been that long. But when I think it's that same thing that we always think of an artist or someone who gets paints out with someone like, I don't know, Da Vinci, or some amazing, somebody who has art in a gallery. And you're absolutely right, because art is art. And whether that's getting paints out, and like the picture that I have had of the sun that was on the video, that was one I'd actually painted all with my fingers. Like I didn't use a brush, and I just used the fingers to make the sun. And realizing that, thank you for asking that, because I think it's easy for us to say that we're not an artist when actually we live art. And I think with what we wear every day, we're creating emotion by what we're doing. Most of the time, I think it's happy emotions, thankfully, not too many angry people. But yeah, so no, thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah. One of the things that is important in communication, because we talk about that, like, because it's hard to communicate between someone with autism and a neurotypical, is defining words. So that was great that you defined artist and why you don't associate with that word, but then why I had a completely different definition. Yes. And it was like, I don't understand why you wouldn't. Yes. But and then we also talk about labels, and it's important that you put labels on yourself that you want, rather than taking on the labels that the world puts on you. And so if you don't want to be called an artist, then that's fair.
I think for me, I think that, sometimes like expectations, like I sometimes feel that if I say that I'm an artist, that people will expect me to do that. But I also think it's like, I think I like the word creatives, like we're creative people, and that, it's like that we create things, including emotions. I'm still laughing at that guy. I've had a couple of those in my life, it's like that, yeah. So what are, it's like, what are some labels that you choose for yourself?
I consider myself a storyteller, because I write a lot of scripts. I do my films. I've been working on some musicals lately.
So cool.
And I feel like this is storytelling. And so that's the type of art I like. I love art with a story and a message. That's my favorite. And so when you put something that personal into your art, like your story, I think it creates better art. And so I put 100% into everything. It's something that I was raised to do, is to work hard at everything. And so when I create something, I like to put myself into it so that it means something and is important to me.
That's so great. You said musical theatre. Are you a singer, or do you compose, or what do you?
I'm a writer.
You're a writer.
Yeah.
That's so cool. No, I have a lot of friends in the musical theatre world, and so it's like, and I used to dream of being a musical theatre singer until I realized I'd have to sing the same thing every single night, and that's just not really me. And there's like, it's like, when there's shows, it's like I'm one of those people that I'm like, I have these specific shows that I really like, but it's like, and there's other shows that I don't like because they're super not me. What sort of musical theatre do you like? What are your favorite ones?
My favorite show is You're in Town.
Oh wow, cool.
My sisters did a lot of theater. I never liked performing on stage. I like being myself on stage. I don't like acting.
So this is your performance.
Yeah.
Performance art. Right?
So I saw a lot of shows, and I loved You're in Town. When I saw that, I just thought that was so original, and like there's not a lot of comedies that I get, because with autism I miss a lot of that social cues, because it's so subtle. It's not straightforward, but with You're in Town, like I got all of that. And it was so cool. Like my kind of humor, and it was a really fun show to watch.
That's really cool. No, it's like I think it's interesting you say that about humor, because the British sense of humor is very, very dry humor.
I get more of the British humor.
Okay, because it's so funny, because I was gonna say when I came over here, people just didn't laugh. I'm like, that was a joke. And so I love the fact that you get the British sense of humor more. And I think maybe, even though I think it's why do you know why you might maybe get the British sense of humor more? I mean,
I feel like American humor is more sarcastic, and it's sort of more mean, where it makes fun of someone. And to me, I'm like it doesn't sound different than just like saying something mean to someone. And I like, tone of voice is hard for me, so it takes me a while to pick up on someone's type of jokes and type of sarcasm. And so like when I've met people, like I thought they were like really awful people because they were making sarcastic jokes, no. And I was like, this is a really bad first impression that you're making. And as I got to know them, I realized like they were just joking.
Oh God.
Where like the British humor is like, they like seem to make it clear when it's a joke.
Yes.
And it doesn't seem to be as cruel.
It's true. I think we, it's still, I think like you said, I absolutely see what you're saying, because when you hear American humor, it's often just the tone of voice saying something in a different way that's actually, like you said, mean. But if it's said in a certain tone, then it's not considered mean. But in some ways it kind of still is, because we're making fun of someone. And so I think that I often will watch the British comedies and some of the old ones. Have you ever watched Laurel and Hardy? Okay, so I'll have to see if I can find a link to it. It's this old black and white. Granted, they were rather mean to each other, but it was this old black and white comedy that was pretty much silent with a lot of music, and they'd like say a couple of words here and there, and just a lot of kind of slapstick humor that was just kind of funny. So I'll see if I can find it. Has anyone who's watching watched Laurel and Hardy? I don't know.
I was just not scrolling it. Question for Ella: is your dog yellow too?
Okay, so my dog is actually my husband's dog. Well, we actually got him at the same time. Remember to take a pic. We will. So I am not allowed to dye my dog yellow. I would use turmeric. The turmeric's dyed spice, so it was natural, but I'm not allowed to. So he wears yellow. So he wears yellow, and all of his toys are yellow. And yes, but I'm not allowed to make him yellow. I'll be in trouble, big trouble.
But he has like a yellow harness and a leash and like, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Let me see if I can find a little picture of him to pop up on here. So when we had his birthday party, I actually tied little yellow ribbons on all of his puppy friends' harnesses, and so that was super fun. I remember being really disappointed when we picked him up because he was so much tinier than we expected. And so the little yellow harness and collar I'd gotten for him was too big. So we had to go to Target on the way home, and the only one they had in his size was blue. And I remember being heartbroken because he had to wear blue for like a month until he grew into his one. But yeah, for his birthday, I made him this little yellow hat that had a one on it. So.
When I got Benji, they gave me a red vest for him, and there was another girl that was training with me, and she's like, she ordered a teal vest because her favorite colors were like pink and teal. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, you can get different colors? They're like, yeah. I was like, can I get a yellow one? And they're like, yeah, we'll get a yellow one. I was so excited. I thought like all summer stock had to have the red. And I realized like you can get any color.
Isn't it so wonderful when you realize that something you need to have for your day-to-day life comes in yellow,
yeah.
Or you can make it yellow? It's literally like this like just amazing thing. I'm always very careful because it's it's like I literally go broke on yellow things, especially like going on Amazon, and it's like I literally search yellow, and just, some days if I'm like a little like just need to chill out, like I'm too intense, I sometimes get a little kind of. The day's been too crazy, so it kind of really affects me. So I'll go on Amazon and just search yellow, and I'm like, add to cart, and then I'm like, save for later, and later's like, will never happen. But oh, hi, gorgeous, the puppy. Oh, look, hi. Oh, you're so sweet. Yeah, I'll bring my puppy next time, and you two can play. But have you ever spray painted anything yellow?
I had like some furniture that me and my sister painted with yellow and orange. That was in my old room, and so we like splatter painted one, and we had like these light brush strokes that made like it look old and like faded, but it was yellow.
That's so cool.
And so like my furniture had like all these yellow little accents to them.
That's really cool. I love that. No, I'm trying to figure out how to make more of my furniture yellow because, obviously sharing it with my husband, who's very, very lovely. I'm not sure if he's on here right now because I know he had a whole, I'm not sure what he's doing right now, but hi, hubby, if you're on. I'm talking about you. But thankfully, he likes gray. So because he likes gray, it kind of balances out with my yellow. And it's a nice backdrop for all of the yellow, but we had to get a new couch, and a friend of ours was selling theirs, so we bought it, and it's gray. So I literally bought every yellow pillow I could find and covered it, and blankets. So it's like it's basically the couch that wants to be yellow.
For a while, I had a brown blanket on my bed because it was so soft, and like texture is really important to me. So I just like had yellow pillows and like yellow stuffed animals and like all this yellow with it.
It's so cool. Yeah, no, it's like I've been trying to convince my husband to let me dye our bedspread yellow. I haven't. Do you think? I wonder if maybe we should just do it one day. We'll just like get a whole bunch of Rit dye and just dye it yellow. We'll be like, what just happened? But yeah, so it's interesting. Have you ever had to compromise on wearing yellow? Have you ever come across a situation where you couldn't wear yellow?
Yeah, there was one time. It was when I first started. That first year I started wearing yellow. I had to go to a funeral. and so we had to go to the store and get something black because I did not own anything.
Yeah.
Because I didn't like wearing black because I felt like a bumblebee when I wore that, and now I'm kind of over that. But at first I was like, I don't want to be like a bumblebee. And then my twin sister's favorite color is black, and I have a huge individuality complex when it comes to my sister. So it's like, you wear black, I wear yellow.
Oh, wow. It's like that song, Black and Yellow, Black and Yellow.
Yeah, black and red are her favorite colors. So I'm a little bit better now at like being like, you can wear yellow now. And like, I don't own the color yellow, but it for a while I would get really angry with her if she ever borrowed my clothes. I was just like, I'm an individual.
My color, you have your colors, I have my colors. Yeah. So does she wear black and red exclusively too, or just those two colors?
She tends to wear a lot of black, but with other colors. So she wears green and black a lot, red and black a lot. She really likes dresses with sleeves, and they just tend to always come in black.
So yeah, and I think that's been the hard thing for me is I actually have I needed to kind of restock because I've been, like I said, I've been doing this since 2012. So it was interesting, you know, how, you know, clothes kind of wear down and you have to replace them. So it'd been since, you know, over 5 years, and I realized I needed to get some more clothes. And I was really struggling finding clothes that I wanted in the right shade. So I now have this bag of clothes that I got at the Memorial Day sale, and they're all white. And I discovered now that Rit Dye has a dye that dyes polyester, because, you know, a lot of clothes aren't just 100% cotton anymore, or, you know, they're man-made fabrics, so it will dye the man-made fabrics. Looks exciting. Maybe I'll do a YouTube, maybe I'll do a vlog on dyeing clothes. But a lot of my clothes end up being dyed, or I will re-dye them yellow if they start fading. So it's kind of fun. Yeah. Oh, look! Ooh, I like this one.
Dara is my friend from college. She was a freshman, and I was a sophomore because I lost credits. I was supposed to be a junior because I transferred. And she wears vintage dresses all the time, and so she had like such a unique style. And then I was wearing yellow, and she really got into yellow. She got a bunch of vintage dresses in yellow.
Yay.
And she's starting to really like that color. I've like converted a few people to love yellow, who are now wearing more and more yellow. And so she's like, she tried to start a trend that like everyone wears yellow on Wednesdays when I left the school. And they're like, it's like the Mean Girls, but we're wearing yellow in honor of Chloe.
I love
and
that.
so there was a while where like people were wearing like yellow necklaces and like sending me pictures. I was like, this is making me so happy.
It's so cool. I love how it really catches on. And do you find that sometimes people will say things like say for instance that they can't wear yellow?
Yeah. There's a lot of people who are like, oh, I wouldn't look good in yellow, but you look so good. It's a hard color to pull off. I'm like, I think it's in your head.
It really is. Actually, there's an article my sister in England sent me. She actually sent me the newspaper cutting, and they were actually showing that actually every skin color can wear yellow. You just sometimes have to be a bit picky on the shade. But you know, speaking of, do you have like a particular shade of yellow that you like best?
I really like pale yellow, like with a lot of white in it.
Yes.
I like, that's my favorite.
That's cool. So kind of like maybe like a little lighter than this, or like this.
Like that.
Yeah, I love this pom pom neck because I literally, I think I've worn it for 3 days.
On camera, it looks more white, but
it does look more white, but it's not. I promise.
There's a question from Katie.
From Katie.
Ooh, look.
Yellow is the color of my childhood. Oh, yeah. Annette went shooting with me today. We went photo shooting. So, so we were talking
about a bunch of photos.
Photo shooting. Just be clear.
Yes.
I'm like, what didn't I know about you?
So I like to take pictures of yellow things with a lot of yellow flowers and stuff. And then I saw a spider today that had like yellow markings.
A spider didn't run away. I like spiders. I'm always like, take the spider away. We should wave at Zoe.
Oh, Robin said yellow is the color of the sun, and you go by Miss Sunshine. So did you pick that nickname, or did that happen?
I've always loved Little Miss Sunshine.
Mm-hmm.
The storybook from the Mr. Men series, which was kind of funny because it's from the Mr. Men series in this anyway. But Little Miss Sunshine, and then people were referring to me as, that I was Sunshine, and so it just somebody may have commented that Miss Sunshine or said Mrs. Sunshine, but I kind of, even though I'm married, I chose to go by Miss Sunshine since my husband isn't Mr. Sunshine. I figured I could get away with. So that's why.
Katie has a really good question.
Right. I have an autistic child in my classroom. He hates the color orange. All my PE equipment is orange. The parents want me to replace my equipment. What should I tell the parents?
Spray paint.
He can have his own color.
Well, maybe he could bring his own uniform. I'm curious why he hates the color orange. Because when you're on the spectrum, I talked about the heightened senses, and one of them is sight. And so for me, I like to seek out sensory when it comes to sight, which is why I love color so much. But if you're sensitive to that, that might be overwhelming. So that might be a reason he doesn't like orange, unless he's associated it with some memory or something. Maybe he could wear sunglasses, or he could look in. There are like special sunglasses for those on the spectrum that will cancel out harsh waves that could bother him. I don't know much about it because that's not something that bothers me, but I'm sure if you do research, you'll find that. I don't know how expensive they are, or if that's something you want to talk to the parents about. I don't.
He could have his own.
But if it's something just he doesn't want to wear, that there could be a reason for that, and maybe he can either his parents can supply his own, or I don't know if the school can supply that, but maybe he can get an accommodation where he doesn't have to wear it. So I don't know the specifics of why he doesn't like it, but I hope that covers a little bit of that.
No, and I think that's really interesting, saying that finding solutions in these scenarios and seeing how people react to certain shades of color, and how some people really love a shade, and even say for instance on the video that I did of the New York Post, there was a lady that commented and said that she hates yellow and it makes her feel claustrophobic. And obviously, I didn't take it in a negative way. She was sharing, her story on it, and I said, I'm so sorry. This is not the video for you to watch. And I asked her, what's your happy color? And it was interesting because it started this whole conversation. And by the end of it, she actually said, I actually don't hate yellow as much anymore after speaking with you, because, it's like, it's kind of, there's some sort of memory, obviously, that she had that made her not like yellow. But I do think that, we have to, need to be aware and find solutions for people in all areas. If because he wants to enjoy PE with everyone else. So.
And that's one of the reasons that I, at the end of my videos, and one of the things that I say on social media is stay colorful.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know my color is yellow, but if I say everyone stay yellow, that doesn't include everyone.
No, I love that. On all your emails, you always have stay colorful, and I love that. No, absolutely. Hopefully that helps Katie. I love the idea of the sunglasses. I have yellow tinted sunglasses because, well, I don't think we have to explain that one.
I do too.
Oh, yay. Katie says thank you.
And then I thought it was fun. You go by Miss Sunshine, and then my middle name, which I use online, it's Chloe Estelle.
Yeah.
Estelle means star.
Oh, is that where Starlight Talks kind of came from?
I love the meaning behind names, and so Chloe means grass.
Grass.
Yeah,
Cool.
actually means one blade of grass. Green shoot is what it is.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
then Estelle means star. So on my Instagram, I have these little emojis of grass and this star.
I love that though, because I actually, back when I was in college, I looked after two twins who were autistic, and and they had just been diagnosed just after I started looking after them, and so that was a really real experience for me, and they were both very, very different, and I think that's something that a lot of people, and I'm sure you've seen that too, is a lot of people just aren't aware how different everyone is, just like we all are very different in our own way. But doing what you're doing, I feel is very kind of cutting edge, that you're being so open and talking about these things and answering these questions that maybe don't have an answer, that need to have an answer. And that kind of reflects in your name because of the blade of grass. And I was just thinking about that. I was just walking Heli yesterday, and there's all this concrete jungle of Los Angeles, and there was this one little hole in the concrete, and this little blade of grass was shooting up. And so so that's that. I think that's you reflect that in your name and what you do by doing what you're doing here. And I think it will affect a lot of people for the better. Very cool. Yay.
I actually looked up what your name meant.
Oh yes. Please.
I thought it was really cool.
It's not so cool in Spanish. When I first moved here, Ella or Aya means she. So, no, I'd love to hear.
I looked up, and so I just typed it into Google, and I went through a couple of descriptions, and the first one said Ella means light, and then a couple of them said fairy.
Oh, I love that.
And then London, there's a bunch of different words for it, but they all meant an uncrossable river.
Ooh.
So I thought that was really interesting. That was such a cool name.
Is that like mean don't mess with me? I'm that's really cool. Wow. I don't know. I mean, I've heard, because obviously Ella is actually derived from, I think, from the French, Bella. And so there's also been other meanings, meaning
beautiful.
Beautiful. Yeah. I'll take that one.
Yeah.
But I love the fairy one. I'm like, maybe I should dress up as a fairy.
A yellow fairy.
A yellow fairy. We fit the yellow fairies.
And then I thought that was cool too, because fairies can fly, so you can cross the river.
Oh, no, got it.
You don't need to swim.
We just fly right on over. I love that.
Katie has a follow-up question.
When a parent asks or request that I avoid certain colors on my clothing to avoid their child to escalate, what would you say? It's a tough one because it's really hard for it to accommodate that. And then everyone's gonna be different. So I think like
That's a tough one.
that's something like you have to decide if that's something you want to accommodate or if you want to try to teach coping mechanisms to deal with that, whether that's sunglasses not looking directly at you when you're wearing that color, and
The why.
just and like going into like why they don't like that color and like really figuring that out would probably be most beneficial into what you do next. So exploring that and figuring that out would probably be where you would start before making your decision about what to say to the parent or what to do with for the child.
Yeah. I think yeah, and you hit on a point there with talking about the why, and I think that it's have you found that in your journey that that's been a key thing for you?
Yeah, like really breaking it down to those reasons, because there's like so many reasons different people do things, and I feel like with autism so much of the go-to is to just be like, well, that's not normal, let's change that, instead of going, well, why are they doing that? Is there a benefit to it? And especially because when I look at a neurotypical person, the way I think is so different, that like behaviors or reactions that they have to things are just like so baffling to me. And so I've learned to just ask questions and be like, well, why did you say that? And that's how I learned about sarcasm. That's how I learned about people are making jokes when I thought they were so serious, and about those kind of things. Like when you ask, then it's like, if I just assumed like everyone was so mean all the time, it would be really difficult. But because I asked, well, why did you say something so mean? Like, oh, I was trying to be funny and make a joke. I wasn't trying to offend you. Then I'm like, okay, that makes sense,
right?
Because I would probably say something like that could come across as rude, and if someone didn't ask me, I'd feel so bad. And so, and I know I've been in that position where miscommunication has happened and no one said anything. And so that why is really important to figure out, instead of jumping at, well, let's change that. It's like, first figure out why they're doing it.
Right. And then I think it's probably difficult, especially like with the parents that where I was looking after the twins. This was, it's 15 years ago. It's so amazing how time flies, isn't it? But I think it was very difficult, for them as well to accept that they needed to dig a bit deeper, because I think it's realizing and have you come across that where you've in your experience where people are just kind of are always constantly trying to change somebody versus or accommodate versus helping that person navigate what they're dealing with?
Yeah. I've found a lot, like with a lot of, like I get a lot of questions from parents and they can be so vague. And like, how do I help my child is like the vaguest question I get, and I get it a lot. And I'm just like, I don't know, because you've given me no information. And I'm always like, well, what are the issues? And then we have to get even more specific. Well, they don't know how to communicate. I'm like, give me an example of the communication issue. Well, they get upset whenever I talk to them. I'm like, okay, what do you say to them? And like I'm like pulling teeth. I'm like, please, like give me more, because I have no idea where to go. And and a lot of the times it's like such simple things where the kid straight out says, well, I don't like when you say this one certain thing to me. I'm like, then why do you keep doing it? And they're like, well, I just want them to stop being upset. Well, that they already told you they get upset when you say it.
Yeah.
Like the answer's in the question.
Absolutely. No, and sometimes it's like it seems so straightforward, and they need somebody like you to point it out, even though it is straightforward, but it's sometimes not straightforward when you're in the middle of it all. That's really interesting. But yeah, that's cool. And then Annette has a question here.
Do you think clothes, colors, and expression is a way to enhance your self-esteem? Definitely, and I think it's a great way to get to know yourself, and getting to know yourself is always beneficial, and like being in your body and recognizing what you're feeling and what your body needs is really important to keep not only physically healthy but mentally healthy. And so I do think what you wear can improve your mental health, and because I know when I wear yellow, I am more confident. And there was a time where I had dyed my hair yellow, and that process of actually getting it done was like sensory overwhelming like crazy, which is why I ended up stopping. But when I had it, I felt like who I was like finally being shown on the outside, and I felt so confident. And I got a lot of stares and looks and like some dirty looks, but it didn't bother me. Where like that used to bother me a lot when I before, and I didn't feel like I was standing out at all with what I wore, what I did. And like now it just it's like I'm like, this is me. So if you're judging this, that's your issue.
I absolutely 100% agree with you. I think that it's a way of expressing yourself, and when you take ownership of that and you realize that it's okay to be you and not to worry about what other people are saying, I think it is that huge taking ownership of your life. I used to get a lot of eye rolls and a lot of it's people that I consider and still consider close friends who are nice people. I mean, they're not mean people, but would say some pretty kind of like mean things, like oh, you just stop wearing yellow all the time, or like, really, kind of like saying to me, like, really,
you're doing it for attention, and like those kind of comments.
Yes, and I think over the years people have seen that I've changed for the better, and that I'm a lot more confident. And plus it means that I get to meet really cool people like you. I mean, imagine if I hadn't done this. I mean, that would have been so sad. We wouldn't be sitting here today. So, but yeah, no, it's one. I was actually doing did a little kind of like chat. I don't know whether we ended up recording it or not. I think we were supposed to be recording it and didn't end up being recorded. But we were just talking about how people often avoid color because they're scared of it, and think that, oh, it's like, well, that's something that Chloe does, or that's something that Ella does, but I could never do that. And I'm always, whenever somebody says something like to me, I said, oh, I'd say something like, oh, but you could like get like a really cute little bracelet in like your favorite color, or some earrings, or a handbag.
And like that's how it started. Like I didn't start like wearing completely yellow. Like it started more subtle, and then like it grew. So like you don't have to start wearing bright yellow jumpsuits or bright yellow dresses. You don't have to start there. Like you can start with smaller things, and like if you like it, you can continue. And like I did a lot of different things with my clothes, trying to figure out, and like for me, I liked standing out. I didn't like following the trends, and I didn't like, because I have an individuality complex, and so I wore like the crazy socks up to my knees and like crazy colors. I wore for a while I wore like bright tutus and like middle school, I wore like these bright tutus, and I wore suspenders in bright colors, and I did all like these things until I figured out exactly what my style was. And I had a more masculine style for a while where I really didn't like dresses, and now I love dresses. So that's like what I want to wear all the time. And so I found my confidence in what makes me feel good, and clothes that like are comfortable as well, like not just how they look but also how they feel is important to me, because I'm very sensitive to touch, and sleeves are really important to me because I have a really hard time with skin on skin contact, and so now I can touch people and they can touch me. And so when I was little, especially when I was undiagnosed, I didn't understand that about myself, and so but I was wearing sleeves all the time because it was more comfortable. And so people would be like, well, are you really cold? And I would just say yes, because that was the easiest explanation. I'm like, yeah, I think so. I don't know what the sensation is, but I think it's cold.
Yeah.
Because people cover up when they're cold, so that's probably what it is. And then as I like figured out, like, I don't feel the world the same way as other people, it's like, it's probably that. It's probably an oversensitivity. And so it's like my armor, and it protects me.
I love that you kind of refer to it as your armor.
Yeah.
And I think that, it's like, I think some people, like, say, for instance, we were talking earlier, hide behind, like, say, for instance, blending in to, with the crowd, because some people aren't like us and don't want to be, see as individuals, or they're scared of being in some sort of a spotlight. They see it as it's attracting too much attention that they don't want, and that's fine, because there are a lot of introverts in the world, and that's okay. It's certainly not a judgment on that, but the fact that when we go out or we're out in a public space or with other people, that this is kind of a way that we show who we are, that it's and it's not that we're out in battle, but I do think that there's a lot of energy in the world that isn't great energy, and I really find that I often pick up on that energy and kind of let it get inside of me, and then I end up feeling really weird inside. And so I found that wearing yellow out in public makes so many people smile when I walk past them, that it ends up changing the energy that's around me. So it has sort of become this armor for me as well. It's really cool.
Yeah, wrote something. Oh, nice.
I think you both are amazing. Thank you for this awesome discussion. It validates people who want to express themselves and help others who want to explore creative options. Doesn't need to be colors, but just staying true to who they are.
Yes.
Yes. There's really no rules when it comes to like what you can wear, and like there's so many arbitrary rules. Like if you're this kind of body, you have to wear this, and like just wear what makes you feel comfortable. Like those rules don't mean anything.
Absolutely. And even just stuff that we do, I think some people have a passion for a certain thing, and people put that down because it's not seen as something that's acceptable in our society. And I'm like, it's like you have to like get a degree in something that means something, and it's going to earn you lots and lots of money. And it's not that we're not practical in the world. Like, it's good to make money. It's always a nice thing to do. But it's like I got a music degree because I was very passionate about music. And so I think that like Annette's saying, we can be creative in many different ways and stay true to who we are and express ourselves. I love it when I see somebody singing in the street, like just walking down the street singing. That is one of the things that really makes me happy, because so many people, including myself, not so much anymore, but I used to, if someone was coming or I knew someone could hear me, I'd like stop because I'd be like, oh no, now somebody can hear me. And I just love it, just being able to be free and not worrying about what other people think, and just being myself. That's really cool. Are we wrapping? We have 30 seconds. What should we say in 29 seconds? Well, I'd love to say a little something and just say thank you so very much, Chloe, for having me. Thank you for inviting me on this, and it's been really special to get to know you better and your story. And I hope one day I can come back. By so thank you so much.
Thank you for coming on the live stream. Don't forget to check out all of her social media and her story. Like, getting to know other people's stories, I think, is really important, and she has a really cool story that she's sharing about her life. Check out the OurTism website. Again, I have my my blogs up there about living with autism. We have the social groups, support groups, and Life Map, and I'm loving Life Map. Annette, who's been asking me all these wonderful questions, is someone I meet with once a week for Life Map, who helps me complete my goals. And one of them was helping me get guests for the live stream, and ended up with 11 here. So it's been really helpful to have that, and to have someone helping me break down my goals. So with the live stream, she's like, okay, write down people you would like to discuss with and topics, and then we'll start contacting them. And then the next step will be to put down dates, and then so like it breaks it down so it's really easy. And so if I highly recommend Life Map to anyone who needs help in that area, and because that's something I struggle with is like the logistics of completing a goal, because goals can be so huge.
So I think I need that. I need the map. It's like I'm constantly, it's like, oh my gosh,
where do you start?
Maybe next time we do this, you should share on your life maps, and you can teach me something there.
Yeah. Thank you for watching. Please come back next week. I don't remember who's on next week, but please come back.
Amazing on next week. They might even wear yellow.
Yeah.